everyone. My name is Gabby Pasqua, and this is a Student of Beauty podcast. We're diving deep into conversations about beauty and wellness around the world. And today I am sitting down with a dear friend of mine, Miss Ashley Moore, hairstylist to not only some of the it girls in Los Angeles, but the hair designer to an all-American it girl who has made waves on a global scale, Barbie. Ashley, thank you for being here with us. What a year it's been for your career.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And I am so proud of you for this next chapter of your new bloomed podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I feel like being able to work with Barbie and to say that you've been the hair designer behind today's like pop culture influence when it comes to beauty, when it comes to, identity. And obviously there's been a shift with the way that young girls are able to look up to media, look to dolls. It's all evolved. But let's just start with how was that experience for you, realizing that you had this privilege and responsibility to execute looks for such a timeless, such a timeless icon?
I feel like I'm still kind of teaching myself that fact. Like I'm still
processing.
Is this real? Yeah, it's such a surreal kind of job, and it's still so. It makes me in awe too when I share what I do with, say, a stranger or a new friend. Seeing their reaction it's really rewarding because it's such a unique job, and one that when I even found the job listing, I was like, what does that even mean? Like, what does that job entail? It sounded too good to be true in a sense. Mm-hmm. And so coming from a hair stylist background as well as product development, it was the perfect hybrid, come to find out in my second or third round of interviews that I went through. And yeah, I'm still kind of telling myself, like, I'm really Barbie's hairstylist, like the one that just had a huge monumental year in 2023 and still actively just being put in the media with all the awards we've been granted and winning with the Emmys and the Grammys and upcoming, hopefully, Oscars. So, yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Like, to be a part of pop culture in that capacity is something that's going to be so timeless for you in your career.
Yeah, that too. And living in that is really, it's something that I am going to be so grateful for looking back. And if I do end up having kids one day and getting to tell my story, especially if I have kids that are interested in Barbie. So I do foresee Barbie still being a thing very much so and if I do have kids.
Well, you will. I'm speaking that life for you.
With a loving man.
Yes. Not many of my friends and family know I've been part of a beauty nonprofit, the Beyond Project. Giving back is easy, and being of service with my community in LA is what inspired more vision for my career, empowered me to keep going, and what connected me deeper with everybody around me. Have you always wanted to give back and serve with your community, but didn't know where to start? Me too. The Beyond Project provides beauty and wellness professionals with an outlet to use their talents for good. We're a dynamic coalition of volunteers who apply our beauty and wellness knowledge to charity events that use beauty and wellness services to empower those who need it the most. They create social impact through what we do best. If you're in Seattle, Los Angeles, Chicago, Las Vegas, or San Diego, the Beyond Project has teams in place and communities to serve. You can join teams at thebeyondproject.org/connect. And if you want to donate products, time, or even financial support, you can visit thebeyondproject.org/ASAB Media. I guess let's just kind of tell your story a little bit. I know that, looking into a lot of hairstylists, makeup artists, everybody behind the scenes of some of the most iconic looks that are capturing this time in history, we see this glamorous life. We see the excellence that is executed. But I would like to know, how did you get into beauty? How did you get into hairstyling? What started this career path for you?
So with beauty in general, it has always been on my radar since I was very little. I remember maybe I was around 8 years old. My mom had gifted me the Kevin Aquan Making Faces book. And I just remember loving even the cover of it because it was the split faces. And then you open the book and you see all this beautiful artistry that he created. And he really was a huge, I would say,
kind of pioneer, kind of influence.
Exactly. Yeah. In the beauty industry. And so that on top of course, like I mentioned previously, loving my Barbies and their makeup and their hair and my own hair and thinking I could color it with Crayola markers on my scalp. Like, it's just the craziest things that we would do as kids. And I just definitely am also, speaking on horoscopes, I'm a Pisces. So we are very spoken creatives in a sense. Mm-hmm. And so I definitely like to dive into my creative side. So beauty has always been on my radar. So fast forward to high school, to 2011 and 2012 for me. I was a junior, senior those years. And my freshman and sophomore year, we had a tech school that would come to our home high school to visit. And they would talk about the different career paths we could choose while also finishing in high school. Mm-hmm. And it was a tech and trade school. And one of the options, well, actually the only option that interested me was cosmetology. Mm-hmm. And so I applied my sophomore year, found out I got in and attended that tech trade school 2011-12 and graduated high school 2012 while also applying that year to FIDM, FIDM, the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. And I just knew I wanted to either move to New York or LA. And my mom was really good about taking me to college campus tours in both cities. So I weighed the options. I applied to FIDM, got in, and within a month of graduating high school in 2012, I moved to Los Angeles. My mom helped me move and she dropped me off at FIDM. And so I attended FIDM and studied merchandise product development there, as well as business management, and graduated FIDM, got my first kind of big girl job that I hated. And thankfully, though, I met you sometime in that mix of when I think I was actually graduated, but it was, I want to say maybe 2013, 14.
Yeah.
And I was about to graduate, but I was going to church a lot, and that's how I connected with you. Yeah. And I just remember you kind of also putting fuel into a good fire of you should get into cosmetology and back into a salon and really feed into that. And I was just yeah, I really want to, but just the big but around it all and not knowing where I'd even start. So that big girl job that I'd gotten out of college from an internship that I hated, I got fired from. Oh. And it was such a blessing in disguise. Yeah. And so I was well, let me keep going to church because I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. Mm-hmm. And it was at church. I think you were there that night too. I had gotten asked to be a model in a photo shoot for a women's group called She.
Oh, amazing.
And
Mosaic She, right?
it was actually with Church Home.
Oh.
And I was like, sure, I have nothing to do on a Wednesday all day because I just got fired. So I didn't say that part, but that was the truth. And so I went to that photo shoot and I was like, just something sparked in my brain. I was like, ask the hairstylist where she works, how she got her footing, and ask her if she's hiring. I don't know. And so I did. And she was so sweet. And that was the catalyst to my first salon assistant job at, it's now called All In Salon in Beverly Hills, but formerly Ramirez Tran Salon. That was my very first salon that I worked at. And my very first salon I worked at in Los Angeles, and a very pivotal moment in my hairstylist beauty career.
Amazing. What was that experience like stepping foot into a salon in LA? Because for those who have not been to a Los Angeles based, let alone a Beverly Hills salon, can you describe what that experience was like for you?
The cutest dogs would come in, the cutest Pomeranians. I think I had more photos of clients' dogs on my camera roll than I did like actual clients. But to answer your question more seriously, I didn't know what to expect. I was kind of just thrown in to the mix of salon general assistants amongst assistants that were assigned to their individual stylist. And I didn't know the difference of those two positions at the time, but I quickly learned.
Yeah, no, totally. And again, for everybody who does not understand the staffing at a salon, it goes, you have your senior stylist, your junior stylist. What is it? Like the assistants that are working towards being a junior stylist, or who are like transitioning from just assisting to being on the floor. And those assistants typically will assist the key stylists or the main ones. And then from there, you have the assistants, and then you have the assistants that assist designated stylists. So you're a part of like a team within a team. And then below that, on the bottom of the totem pole, you got the salon assistant that basically is the assistant to literally everyone.
Me.
Yeah. And I have been there. That's how my career started too. That's a story for another day. But like for you, like that's so, girl, I feel you. And it's, people don't understand.
Yeah. And at that, you're making minimum wage.
Oh yeah, and paying for parking in Beverly Hills.
Your ticket is more than your paycheck.
Yep.
Parking ticket.
Yeah, and let's put daily parking ticket. So those shampoo tips,
they meant everything.
Yeah.
I remember being thrilled over a $20 shampoo tip. It was from Jeannie Buss. I'm gonna name drop because she's a godsend, and go Lakers.
Amazing. No, I feel like for me, I've always remembered the people who tipped the highest in that state because, like you said, a $20 shampoo tip was like, oh my gosh, I could cover parking and I can maybe buy dinner after this.
Right. I was going to say it was the the meal ticket. Like, screw a dating app for a meal ticket. This was my meal ticket. Like, thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So while you're at that salon and as you were getting your bearings, what was kind of the pivotal moment there where you were just like, aha, okay, I'm home. Like this is what I wanted to do.
I think at that specific position, this stylist, Mia, really took me under her wing. And so I wasn't officially hired from her, but I would help her a lot amongst the other stylists, and everyone there was so talented, but she just gravitated towards me and vice versa. I gravitated towards her and her talent and skills and her clientele that was very generous. And it was so crazy when that moment happened because the previous company I was at that I got fired from, the holiday party, a psychic told me there's going to be a woman named Mia that serves great purpose in your life.
Oh.
And I know
I'm getting chills.
Yeah, with my, like it's crazy because with my religion, it's like kind of frowned upon to see a psychic, but it was presented at a holiday party, and that was just like a message I felt like I was meant to hear, and it very much so transpired quickly after getting that message. So she served as a very pivotal movement there, and I learned a lot from her. And I would say too, the girl that got me into that salon essentially served as that catalyst to get into that salon, because then from that salon, she also referred me to the next salon that I went to, which was another still is very reputable salon that I respect so much.
Which salon is that?
901 Salon in West Hollywood.
Amazing. And you know that they do, if you guys don't know 901 is like a celebrity hotspot for a lot of like contemporary artists and kind of like like young Hollywood specifically.
Yeah.
And so you were around that. And so I guess what influence did that have on you? Not only from the clientele, but like the stylist. And you talk about Mia and the other hairstylist who was that catalyst for you. Coming from a perspective of being an assistant and wanting to be mentored, right? Like there are nuances that we both have taken on from the people that we've assisted. Like what were some of the characteristics of the stylist, both in personal and in craft, that really stuck out to you?
At each salon or at the...
Just overall, like however you want to answer it.
I would say the second salon that I went to, it was so well structured and they were such type A people. And I'm a very much type A person, if you haven't already learned with being my friend for this long. And so they kind of have their playbook and everything follows suit. And I very much so, that's just how my brain works. And I really liked 901 is who I'm referring to when I say they had courses for their assistants, and not only courses for their assistants, but courses for the world to come see and attend and pay for. And people would, and they still do. And they have the beauty coach tours around. They did like a countrywide tour at one point, but 901 would let us assistants work those classes and or attend them because they really believe in whoever works for us, we have your back. And I very much so respect the owners because of their work ethic and everything they've created on their own and from kind of the ground up. Like they were once assistants too.
Yeah. I think being an assistant does something to you.
Oh yeah. I've heard horror stories. Like some general assistants have had to scrub toilet bowls. Thankfully, I wasn't one of those, but I know they do exist and they did. And they did their dirty time.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very humbling experience. I think also too, this is a very, important point to put out for the next generation of hairstylists, because I've said this before, and this is something that I will consistently say, is that, coming into beauty prior to social media, artists chased craft. They did not chase the clout. And so now you have to have some sort of clout to survive in Los Angeles and New York and every major city that has any type of celebrity or high profile presence, because everybody Googles everyone at this point. So yes, it's a part of the business now. But before, the people who mentored us all kind of came up prior to clout being such an important part of your career. And so I say all of this to kind of set us up to speak on the fact of, the next generation of artists and hairstylists. When coming into this, I always want to encourage everyone, and as you have been telling us so eloquently, of like roll your arms up and just get to work.
Oh, yeah. I am very much so you just never know what something's going to lead to type of person, especially coming from a job I was fired from, losing all hope of like, okay, I'm from Ohio, moved to LA, went to school, got my first big girl job, and then got fired. So like, what do I even do now?
Yeah.
But you have to look at any kind of positioning as an opportunity, or any, like, even an invite to a birthday party. You just never know who's going to be there. You never know. So just say yes, as long as you're in the right mental state too. And sometimes, like, maybe I don't know, maybe I wasn't when I said yes to that photo shoot because I had just gotten fired, but like it led me to something that really served as a huge catalyst in my career.
Amazing. What has been like the most influential, I guess, moment that you might have had when speaking to a mentor? Because after 901, you grew your career and it was so cool to watch. Like, I just have to say, Ashley is one of the hardest working people that I know. And she really knows how to like put in the work. And I have a lot of respect for you. That's why I asked you to sit down with us right now. Of course. And it's one of those things where I really honor that because, there are a lot of girls that I had met that are like, I want to do X, Y, or Z, but they're not willing to put in the work. And you were so willing to put in the work. And it was like, anytime you reached out for a question to me, I was like, I think you should do X, Y, or Z. And she flew. She like just did it. And she excelled at it. And so from 901, I believe you were able to then kind of transition into working with celebrity artists, right? Well, you already were at 901, but freelancing.
Yeah. So from 901, I thankfully got some of the most amazing individual stylists that I got to work for. And those people were so generous and sharing or having me assist them on really big jobs. Even I assisted one of the owners actually both of the owners sometimes with big names. And I always knew to keep a professional face and demeanor and everything. That was kind of taught to me at a younger age, even at FITM. But so with that, like the artists that I worked under had a really solid clientele themselves. And then from there, I think at 901 for maybe a year and a half. I saw that Jen Atkin was hiring, and that really excited me. And so I took what felt like a shot in the dark in a sense because of knowing her following and how many applicants were probably submitting to the position. I went ahead and went for it, applied. And now that I'm talking about this, actually, it's coming top of mind. But I remember seeing after submitting my application that she was going to be having a way event at one of the local farmers market. I think ironically, it was the West Hollywood Farmers Market. And at the time, 901's location, main salon location, was on Melrose Place. And that is where the farmers market is. So thankfully I was not working at 901 that specific day. I wasn't scheduled. So I attended the farmers market to see if Jen was going to be at her own way event. And she was. Amazing. And so I went straight up to her and I said, "Hi, I'm Ashley. And I just submitted my application to your hair assistant position." And she was like, "Oh my God, hi." So friendly. And she just said, "Okay, I'll make sure my assistants like go through the applications, etc." And I thought, okay, well, we'll see if that happens and kind of let it be. And then long behold, I landed the job after I think another set of 3 interviews. And I got a solid 6 months with her. And I'm still forever grateful for that opportunity. She's one of the best people I've gotten to work with. Just her personality and who she is as a human, and also, of course, her skill set. And very much so look up to her. And she's also a Pisces. So we definitely bonded on that. And yeah, I really just am so appreciative of that experience. And unfortunately, COVID had to happen.
Yeah.
But she set me up in a great, great way.
To my beauty insiders, I've found pride in staying on top of beauty trends and emerging brands, and I'm always willing to bet money on what the next big break in the industry is going to be. Well, our friends at 213 Deli do too, so much so that they're the first of their kind in the US to launch text shopping. Yes, text shopping. Curious? I sure was. 213 is a text-to-buy service. You sign up on their site, and once a week, every Thursday at 12 Pacific, they text you the product of the week and you reply if you want to buy. You can sign up for free and use code GABBY, GABBI, to try them out and get inside scoop on the brands you shouldn't be living without. Sign up at 213deli.com. I definitely remember when you told me that you were going to start working with Jen. I also feel like I talked to you the day that you're like, I'm going to go to the Way event on Melrose Place. And I was like, you go, girl. You're like, whatever. If she's going to be there, she's going to be there. You're like, might as well just go check out and see. And this was kind of at like the break of a lot of celebrity artist brands that were really starting to infiltrate the marketplace. Mm-hmm. And so it was cool to see Jen really pioneer that for hairstylists, for like millennial hairstylists, let's just say, right? And so for our generation, she really had this pioneering kind of in the same way Sophia did Nasty Gal, Jen did for hair, right? And the product development side and attaching it to your name and everything like that. But I say all of this because for any listeners who don't know who Jen Atkins is, look her up. She's incredible and she's a force. And what I wanted to say was when you told me you were going to work with her, I was like, wow, that could not be a better fit. Like, I was just like, well, duh, of course that's who she's going to be working with.
Yeah, you only go up from here.
I was like, oh, I was so excited for you. When I got that call, I was like, I'm so thrilled. And I also saw you grow a lot with that too. And so I guess going from that, you got to see a lot of the business side. And so I guess going from just being a singular artist or a hairstylist, you were able to see what it meant to diversify a career. And so now, having had that experience, what really stuck out to you?
Yeah. So with what stuck out in
like diversifying like your career as a hairstylist, because it's not a one lane thing anymore.
It's not. And there's so many routes you can take with it. You don't have to just work in a salon. And that's something that LA in general opened my eyes to. Mm-hmm. But as far as like my beauty and cosmetology background with my product development and business management background and finding a sort of hybrid position that I am in now, Jen was the most ideal person to work under because she too did both, like you were saying, with styling, having a cosmetology background and styling hair, but also creating a product, which is now known as Way.
Yeah.
So that was a huge inspiration to show me that it is possible to have both. You don't have to just live in one singular path with beauty. And so once I stopped working with her, I did take some time to myself, and I did have a lot of time to freelance more on my own. Mm-hmm. And she also sent me over to the Wall Group to work with their kind of assistant roster to help out when needed and still paying off in a sense. So thank you, Jen. And
Love the wall group.
Yeah.
We love them.
Shout out to the wall group. Let me know if Super Bowl needs coverage. No, just kidding. Anyway, so yeah, I would say just having her as that role model and inspiration, and with my own kind of backgrounds as well. And once because also once I was stopped working with Jen, COVID hit full throttle. So I remember it was like actually right before my birthday too, because my birthday is in March. And as we all know, COVID became very prominent March 2020. And so I think it was about a week after my birthday, whatever age I turned that year. So COVID hit. And so I had for me, and I think a lot of other people, really reflect, like, what do I want to do? And what can I do what is open? Because it had a huge impact on the beauty industry.
Especially in California.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone, like no other state, got hit as bad, I think, as New York and California when it came to beauty.
Awful.
It was terrible.
I tell people, I try and remind people, like, it was worse than restaurants. Like, a lot of restaurants, yes, they were doing carry out and to-go orders to survive. We don't have carry out and to go. Like, yes, we can do house calls, but if anyone, like, I've gotten sprayed. I remember going to a house call and I got sprayed with Lysol. Like,
oh my
God.
God.
The house call really, yes, I'm a clean freak too, but like, come on.
They sprayed you with Lysol.
Yeah, straight to the body.
Oh, wow.
I know. It's probably a lawsuit.
Oh my God. No, we won't keep that in. But no, yeah, going back to the COVID year. The one thing I will say for that is you were right. Beauty completely shut down, especially for artists in Los Angeles, because it was a really interesting time because every aspect of beauty for us was shut down. Like our hands were literally tied behind our backs, and it was like you could not do any type of styling in a salon. No productions were going.
None.
No photo shoots were going up. Everybody was doing their own stuff at home. Like some celebrity artists were able to get in with some talent for on-camera stuff through Zoom. And so that started popping up. But it was a time that I also don't think I was as honest as I was with my family, either, like, of how impactful that was on a negative standpoint, because it was like everybody in beauty kind of had to put on a face, because it's like we're sitting down with our friends who are still steady, you know what I'm saying? And like life is still stable in this capacity. And it was interesting conversations where I felt like I loved the conversations we were able to have, because it was like you sit down with your fellow beauty professionals and you're just like, how are you? Like, are you actually well?
How are you really?
How are you really? Despite how, like, and so anyway, not to stay on a sour note, but that also I think was a catalyst to not only what I'm doing now sitting here, and that's again another podcast, but for you going into Barbie. So talk us through that, because I remember being at lunch with you and you're like, I think I'm going to apply to be Barbie's hairdresser. And I was like, that's freaking iconic.
And I probably said it just like that because I was so skeptical. Like, is this a real job listing? And what is this job? I don't know.
I remember you had a hesitation because you were like, but then I can't work on set if I'm going to have to be full-time on set with Barbie. And I was like, but I think that actually might be great for you. How has it been balancing still freelancing and doing Barbie? So now you're working like 7 days a week nonstop. Yeah,
it is a busy life sometimes, but with especially now currently being award season. So thankfully a lot of the award shows and like some pre-award events happen on the weekends, say Saturday or Sunday all day, like just previously were the Grammys on this past Sunday. So what I'll do is I work, the 40-hour work week, and some evenings, even this Thursday, actually, I have two clients. Or no, I have a client after work, so 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. That's my workout, and then my 9 to 5, which is Barbie,
Mm-hmm.
and then my 6 to 9, which is my personal clients. So that's like if it's a weekday, and then if it's a weekend, sometimes it's relaxed, and I'll give myself the weekend off. But I would say averaging about once a month on a weekend, I will take the weekend. And now that it's currently award season,
Yeah.
I will work a Sunday all day and take some clients to glam them for, say, the Grammys.
Yeah. Yeah. Which you did.
I did.
How amazing. That's so
thank
fun.
you.
So I guess juggling it all, and, let's talk on the lane of like career Barbie, and like how, finding your place in with such an iconic brand was a lot of, blood, sweat, tears, and just choices that allowed you to be postured for an incredible opportunity, right? What has been the most rewarding experience that you've had to date within your career? Like top 3, if you can't just think of one.
I'm debating on one being entering it again and figuring out how to enter the beauty industry from coming from a fashion corporate job and then figuring it out with the help of you as well.
Oh my God.
And then I would say 2, Jen Atkin. That is definitely a beauty specific career highlight. And 3 being Barbie, and it really kind of fulfilling a very much childlike joy that I am very proud of.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so on the topic of joy, I love this. What is it like to be able to encapsulate that childlike joy in your everyday work and actually be able to embody it? Does it sometimes feel like it's lost? How do you tap into it? Like, what is that process like for you?
Oh, of course I can get lost. My goodness, I'm human.
Yeah.
So I have my days I've cried at my desk. I've also been really happy at my desk. So there's just no real every day is the same mentally. But I will say that what helps me balance it is grounding myself, and whether that's doing the 5-minute journal entry or just even if I didn't make time for that, making a note on my phone of like 3 things you're grateful for. And if I don't make time for that, at least mentally noting them and jotting 3 bullet points of what I'm grateful for and bringing joy and gratitude to those bullet points, whatever they may be.
Yeah. How important do you think joy is to the work that you do?
I think joy is definitely important because I have noticed with like my current job, if I'm actually sometimes though, if I'm in a bad mood or like if someone makes me mad, I actually sometimes do a good job. But like it's because I'm hyper focused and I don't even want to like look at my phone if that happens. But joy specific and how it does help my job is just like collaboration and working with the cross-functional teams I work with on a daily basis. It's so helpful when we're all kind of in collectively stable and joyous moods in a sense.
There's a synergy that happens.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that creative flow that happens.
Yeah, we can feed and bounce off of each other. So
yeah. And you're talking about how when you're not super joy filled, that maybe a sadness or an anger can fuel the work that you do to be like really like precision, right?
Sometimes, yeah. And I think maybe that's because
it's an outlet. It's an outlet.
It is like a nice outlet. And then I don't get distracted because I don't even say someone's text made me upset or something. I just like don't even want to look at my phone when that happens. And then I don't know, but going back to the joy thing too, I feel like my job definitely gives me a great purpose.
Amazing.
So that alone really helps fuel the joy instead of the anger.
Oh, so purpose-driven work. Let's talk about that a little bit. And, you know, with Barbie, it's very intentional. Like Barbie has an important reputation, culturally speaking, and especially when it comes to beauty and identity and, you know, self-worth and all of those things. Being a part of Barbie's contemporary team, how do you believe or how do you feel, say this again, how do you feel Barbie is positively impacting the beauty industry today?
I think Barbie is positively impacting the beauty industry today by the diversity and inclusion that has been pushed for some time, especially since the 2020 and probably even dated back previously. I started working with a company in 2021, so definitely became more aware to that, to Barbie when working or while working there. But some specifics with inclusion in a very special project to my heart was the Down syndrome Barbie. And I grew up with my grandma having some friends with Down syndrome, and one of them that's like a extended family member to us. But that specific work project that I was assigned and executed, just seeing too the TikToks with the Barbie being gifted to someone with Down syndrome and how special it is to them and how exciting they get. I actually like cried watching it. So it's just very, very rewarding and gives me a lot of purpose behind it and just proud that I did that.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
You were able to allow people to be seen in a new way.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
so thankful, and I'm thankful Mattel also believes in that, and the designer I got to work with creates some really, really neat and diverse Barbies.
Have you heard about these epic New York City sample sales where you can score designer deals for up to 80% off? Now the sample sale is coming to you. Introducing In the Know Sample Sale online. This iconic New York City sample sale store is bringing you exclusive designer deals and steals that you can shop from anywhere. Visit www.shopintheknow.com to learn more. On the topic of celebration, let's do that because like I feel like beauty and what you just talked about with purpose-driven career and the purpose-driven work and feeling fulfilled and feeling the joy, that's to be celebrated, I want to say. And I feel like not a lot of people talk about that enough. Like we celebrate the looks, we celebrate the you know, the new stars that are coming up, and we celebrate, you know, new brands, but we don't necessarily take the time to celebrate the impact sometimes that people are having on one another and the influence that that, you know, has. And so I guess on that note, I would like to ask you, you know, what are your thoughts around hair being a representation of oneself?
I think there's so many, it's a creative outlook for sure. I think just kind of like a tattoo and how you choose your tattoo or what you want for a tattoo, or if you don't want tattoos, but just you get to be so creative with it if you so choose. And there's so many different styles and colors, and just too, you can play with the texture nowadays with all the chemical treatments you can get. You can shave your hair off if you want to, you know, wear wigs, or those that do wear wigs and embrace so many different beautiful looks on themselves. So I think it's a great self-expression that you can embody throughout your hair or with your hair.
I love that. For you and your self-expression, what inspires you right now? Or like, what's the most inspiring things for you? And how do those influences not only inspire you for yourself, but how does it then translate into your work?
What inspires me? I feel like any form of travel I'm always inspired by too, just to see how different from people all around the world and what they do with their day to day and beauty specific, what their hair and makeup trends are, and
Yeah.
just seeing different cultures. And I would say too, if I'm not traveling, at least watching different films and getting inspiration from different films or shows.
Yeah, I love that. How does that impact working with, well, I mean, when you're working with Barbie, I guess you're kind of working with the team to execute a look. So it's not as applicable when it comes to that. But when you're working with clients one-on-one,
Yeah.
how do you navigate, your inspirations into the work that you do with your clients?
Yeah. So I actually, and Jen gave me this great idea, creating an Instagram page that can be either, addressed by your name or a different handle, but having that as kind of like a Pinterest board and always having that as a go-to if the client doesn't have any ideas, like you at least have this kind of mood board, Pinterest board, Instagram account, or whatever platform you want to use for it, of photos that you've collected on there of styles that you really like or think are kind of on trend, or if they're not on trend, just something that you simply think would work for that client and show
Yeah.
them, and they can pick from that kind of catalog.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so, I remember ripping magazines and taping them to my wall, and
Yeah.
it would always change every couple months. Like every
Right.
season it would change. And so it's so interesting now doing that digitally. Like as you were saying that, I was like, oh, I need to do that. And I was like, oh, but that would be such a fun meditative practice
Yeah.
to do like a vision board, but to do it for trends, because
Yeah.
that's something that I used to do. I don't do it. Did not realize it till you're just talking to me about that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, get back to it.
I'm going to get back to it.
Yeah.
So, on the topic of trends right now, what are you kind of seeing for this current beauty climate that we're in? Because I think that okay, so I'll set this up right now. Basically, with a lot of the inclusion and diversity, traveling around the world, you recognize that America is very unique to that, where only in America, I feel like, are we really, truly including so many different looks, everybody from every walk of life, however you want to identify, however you want to celebrate yourself in this body that you're in. America is actually kind of leading that right now. Going all around the world, there's a lot of homogenous looks that are still pumped out. And it does cause a sense of, not confusion, but just discomfort and not being able to belong. And I think now with the beauty trends, what are you seeing that is pretty inspiring when it comes to like the inclusion, like you're talking about Down syndrome, Barbie, because it's now crossing over into beyond, like it's, I don't even know how to say that, but it's really extending to really create visibility for everybody, which is so special. And, but what are you seeing now contemporarily in trends, whether that be on the inclusion stand front, whether that be on the trend stand front?
I think I'm seeing, at least for me and what's popping up on my For You pages and my friends' Instagram pages, is embracing you and your natural. So a lot of people I have noticed are coming, well, I'm not in a salon currently, but going to the salon and my salon friends that are in a salon to get back to their natural hair color and or get back to something that's similar to their natural hair color, embracing their natural hair textures for the first time in, say, years. And with makeup too, I even noticed more, aside from the latest mob wife makeup trend I've been seeing, I've also been seeing simultaneously natural makeup looks and more BB and CC creams versus a full coverage foundation.
Yeah.
So things such as, and getting back kind of to you and what you were created as.
Like a sense of just like natural beauty.
Yeah.
In a sincere way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like also too, with all the homogenous looks, it's really easy to look like everybody else. That it's like the only thing that's going to make you different is you embracing who you are. That's literally the only thing that's going to make you stand out, is you just embracing everything natural, hair colors, natural like lines, you know what I'm saying, and curves, and just even the way that you follow your facial patterns too. Because again, that's another podcast I could talk about when it comes to seeing you. I will just say this right now. When I was traveling for the last year and a half, I had the privilege and honor to be able to travel around to different countries and really just like dive deep on beauty culture around the world. And when I was doing that, I knew who was an American girl because their face was immaculately perfect in a way that was so unique to the American beauty standard, which I was like, oh my gosh, like I know who the Americans are just by their face structure. Not even speaking. Like I could look and I'm just like, and talking to them, I'm like, I was more than, I would say 9 times out of 10.
Correct.
Yeah. I was correct. But in that sense, again, a whole nother conversation. Let's say, what is your hope for this generation? And not only beauty standards, but also for beauty professionals. Like if we were sitting in an auditorium of girls who were like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. You know, I'm in a hard place. I'm in that transition. I just got fired. I just want to do beauty, but I don't know how to do it. Like, what's your hope for like that?
Yeah, for them to kind of have that momentum to do it and execute.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, I am inspired from the Gen Z generation. And I mean, I see a lot of them on my TikTok. So I'm learning more and more about them. I don't really work amongst too many Gen Zs, but, and even like the other generations after them, but I would say just they're definitely good transactionally, so I've heard, but also
transactionally.
Yeah,
what does that mean?
Like with they won't stay from, and I don't want to generalize, but just from what I've heard, they're not going to stay at the corporate job for X amount of years to get that next pay grade or tax bracket. They will jump even if they've only been at a job, say 6 months to a year, and they'll go to the next company that's going to pay them more. And I feel like I'm partially a part of that generation too, in a sense, because it's like, I've heard, you know, the only way to kind of make more money is to no longer be with a company in the long run. It's like, you got to kind of hop around to get that next pay grade, which give and take with that, to each its own. But I want to say, like, with Gen Z, I do think, and going back to your comment earlier, like rolling up their sleeves and not being too good for something, because you just never know what something else can lead to.
Yeah.
And yes, if you get great opportunities without having to do that, kudos to you. That's amazing. But I do think it gives you a more well-rounded and balanced experience going into next career paths that will elevate you.
So like relationships and loyalty is something that you feel is to be encouraged for the next generation.
Yeah, I would say so.
In profession. So if a younger artist is looking to get into this, it's like, you know, get with a crew, get with a team, get with a mentor, and stay loyal, because that loyalty is gonna
really take you off to your next pivotal moment.
Yeah, totally. And so that's on the professional front. On like a more superficial, fun trend front and like industry front, what's your hope for this next generation and even with going into the next like seasons when it comes to looks and products and the evolution of what's happening in beauty?
I hope for more clean products. And I want to say for the past maybe 4 months, I used to really never pay attention to the whole clean ingredients. I mean, yeah, I thought it was great that brands were pushing that.
Yeah.
But I recently downloaded this app called Yucca or Yucca. I don't know how it's pronounced.
I just downloaded that app too.
It's the best thing. It is for food, for beauty products, for...
I was using EWG for a long time.
Is that the same?
Like 10 years ago.
Kind of concept?
It's just, yeah, but it was the OG, it's like the older one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I love this app so much. I am always using it at Target, at Whole Foods, whatever store I'm in and whatever I'm buying. So I have discovered so many cool brands that I will now stay loyal to, such as like Kosas, for instance. Like all their ingredients and their rating on Yucca. If I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that
I think
app.
it's Yucca as well. I'll say Yucca with you.
And so they are all the products are relatively 80 and above, and it's rated out of a scale of 100. So in anything I think above 70 is rated excellent. So yeah, I really think for trend focused clean ingredients, and whether it's food, beauty products, or like hair care products, I think just pushing clean ingredients it's really cool to me, at least.
I love that. Yeah, no, the whole clean beauty trend was something that I got to watch in real time. And not a lot of people know this, but I worked with only clean and green beauty brands for live television for a solid like 5 years.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it was before like I saw Kosas start rolling out their brand. Like it was crazy. Kosas didn't exist when I started. Like I was ordering from London for like mineral powders. Like I was ordering from the UK essentially to like get cleaner ingredients. And I like to say that my makeup station looked like a beauty chem lab because I had to, I couldn't just use one product. I had to cut like products and mix my own cheeks and mix my own foundations at one point just so that it would read like an HD foundation, because live television, girl, I was sweating when it came to seeing when my talent had to walk. I was just like, I would be glued to that monitor because I'm like, if those lights hit and it doesn't hit right, it's gonna look crazy. And I would just sweat anyway. So
but it hit right,
and I'm very thankful for it. And so the clean beauty is I'm actually too very happy with that. Again, that's, I feel like a whole nother conversation we can have. And I think we will. But so coming kind of to the end of this now, I'd like to ask you what your favorite, I guess, craftsmanship technique you've I want to bring it back to the craft, right?
Yeah.
Before we wrap this up. And it's like for hairstylists now, maybe a conversation we could start. What is one of your favorite things about hairstyling as a craft?
One of my favorite things about hairstyling as a craft is it's like a blank canvas, as an analogy to give. So you have this head of hair. Every head is completely different, but being able to work with that fact and create the artwork on your essentially blank canvas. And specifically, I'm more like style focused currently, but especially with color too, and literally painting a blank canvas is really neat to see that transpire to the final look.
Oh, I love that. And it's like it's so tactile. Being in beauty and like hair and makeup, that I loved what you had said about when you do get a little upset Like you have an outlet because it's so meditative.
Yeah. And then fueling that purpose. It's like, well, if so, if that upsets me, at least I have my purpose right here, and this is for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to make me eventually feel better and fill my cup.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So on some of our last thoughts,
Yeah.
I'd love to ask you, what does beauty mean to you?
I think, to me personally, beauty, this might sound cliche, I don't care, but it starts within, and specifically with your mental. Because I've noticed on days where I'm not filling my cup and I'm not feeling the most mentally stable, so to say, my outlook on my physical beauty is not the same as other days. And so I think mental health and really being attentive to your mental health is such a beautiful thing.
When you feel good, you look good because it's like an energetic thing, right? It's like it really does start within. I love that. And with that note, gosh, you are leaving such a positive impact, not only on your clients, not only on people that are picking up Barbies, not only for those who are being gifted a new level of representation and visibility in pop culture and in our beauty culture today. Like you're leaving such a mark right now in the beauty industry. I don't know if you realize that.
I feel like I'm like living somebody else's life sometimes, but then I'm like, I bring myself down and ground myself. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's mine. It's my life.
It's your life.
It's blossoming, and I am very proud of myself, and thank you for your recognition too.
Oh my goodness. No, as you should be proud. I think friends need to do that, especially fellow beauty professionals. Like I think we need to applaud our peers so much more often, and doing it loudly is something that's why I wanted to do this. I want to sit down to applaud all of my friends who I've been able to see blossom and grow and come up with. I think it's so easy in our industry to get so insecure sometimes because we're at times put up against each other for different jobs.
Oh, for sure.
And you're pitted against one another, and you're kind of seeing who lost out, how their career is going, how they're like chasing the next young Hollywood starlet. Oh, but I started with you. How are you there now? Like, and why am I here? It can get so easy to go into the opposite, that I feel like it is a stance to be able to sit down with somebody and be like, I applaud you for everything that you've done. And you should be so proud of yourself, which I'm so glad you are. And so, yeah, with the last question, because you are making such impactful waves in beauty culture right now, I would like to ask you, what would you like to leave? Like, what's your personal mission right now as of today? Like, if you're to talk to, our peers in a group or to any young stylist, what impact would you like to leave in the beauty industry today?
An impact that I would like to leave on the beauty industry is to definitely embrace you and your individuality, because no one's work is going to be the same. Even if someone gives you step by step specific instructions, you are still going to uniquely create your own art piece in a sense. So just live in that and be proud of that.
I love that. Oh, Ashley, it has been a pleasure. How can everybody follow you? How can they find you? Let's give you, this is a shameless plug right now.
Instagram, my handle is my first name, Ashley, and then my middle name, Karel, Karel _hair. So there you'll find my clientele that I'll sometimes post, and then some fun Barbie content that I am going to get back into.
Ashley Moore, hairstylist based in Los Angeles, and the hairdresser to iconic Barbie. Thank you. I love you.
I love you. Thank you.
Of course.